Welcome to April Anger 2026. Woo! Our first match of this tournament season is going to be between Wii Fit Trainer and Samus. Now, if you watch the preseason, we don't have too much that's different now. Really, the main thing is that the stage selection has been changed. Basically, we had a preseason rule set that had a lot of, well, a moderate amount of stages, and now we have a tournament rule set for the actual tournament, which only makes sense. All of the outliers, the stages that the amiibo struggle to function on, or that cause very long or delayed battles, basically every stage that wasn't tournament legal in most tournaments that you'd see today, or these days, or I guess if you're watching in the future, in the year 2026. All of the stages that didn't comply with that are out of the rule set now. So we have a very legitimate rule set going on here. Well, I guess legitimate, it's a very popular rule set. Samus is quite honestly getting hit a lot for someone who's trying to win this battle. Second stock and at 130%. Odds aren't looking good that she's going to win this. Back hit, a forward smash. That's going to be killing Samus off the left side of the screen, even though the forward smash was angled to the right. One of Wii Fit Trainer's, you know what, I'd say that it's one of her underrated strengths, that a lot of her moves have really weird hitboxes. It can be difficult to hit people with the weird hitboxes intentionally. However, whenever you hit them with the weird hitboxes on accident, it feels great. And if you're with people in real life, you could pretend like you meant that and that you're some sort of super genius, but deep down we all know that most of the time it was an accident and it just happened. Samus goes high to avoid the edge guard, and both characters safely make it back to the stage, struggling to hit each other for a bit there, even though they were so close. Up air is Samus's kill throw. I guess if you're at a high enough percent, any throw can be a kill throw, or at least almost any throw. I'm sure there's some that have a very fixed knockback, or usually the ones that'll bury opponents, actually. Because the strength of those throws is that you bury the opponents and then you kill them. It's not that you bury them and it gives you enough knockback. Though yet again, I suppose if you were to do that close enough to the blast zone, you could actually end up with a kill off of a burying throw. Maybe you need a moving platform to off-screen the opponents. Samus tried to go for an up smash there, but it came out just too slow. Wii Fit Trainer able to, well, use her down air, but it's basically a stomp-like move, which I don't think is actually a move in yoga. You know what? It's probably like the hand position. Samus actually hitting both hits of jab. And that down smash is going to kill? It is going to kill. So for the first stage of the tournament, all of these matches are going to be best of one, which means that Wii Fit Trainer is moving on to round 2. Alright, and for our second match, we're going to be having King K. Rool against Donkey Kong. This is going to be quite the bracket buster match. Namely, because both of these amiibo have actually won April Anger in the past. Donkey Kong was last year's victor, and King K. Rool won a couple years ago. I don't remember the year off the top of my head. But yes, both of these amiibo have won before. And already this specific character matchup is always pretty interesting. They are two of the 3 heaviest characters in the game, I believe. I know King K. Rool is the second, and I'm pretty sure Donkey Kong is the third. But they definitely feel like heavyweights. They have big, strong hits, and both of these characters actually have a surprising number of spikes. I believe Donkey Kong has the most with 4, assuming you're not counting stage spikes. And King K. Rool has 2, which is already one more than most other characters get. And I suppose I should mention that King K. Rool's up smash actually has a very difficult to hit spike hitbox for a single frame. It's actually meant to combo the move into itself. However, it does, I guess, technically count as a spike. which technically puts King K. Rool at 3, which is Aside from Donkey Kong, I believe the most you'll ever see a character get. I mean, there's a lot of characters, so I wouldn't be too surprised if there's one I'm not thinking of at the moment, but usually a character doesn't get too many spikes, because typically you only need the one. Two's nice, I guess. King K. Rool needs to land. He does. He doesn't seem to be thinking to use his belly armor. That would definitely let him get through Donkey Kong's forehead. Forward air is going to be the kill. King K. Rool's about 80% behind. Not impossible for a heavyweight to make up, especially against another heavyweight. 110%, not looking great. He needs to stop getting hit by these... Well, he didn't get hit by the up air, but he got hit by an up smash instead. Does put him at a stock behind. There is, of course, a chance he could get a random footstool. We actually get that a lot. Especially, weirdly enough, in the April Anger Tournament season, we seem to get it more than in the preseason or postseason. Which is odd, because you can't, as far as I know, specifically teach an amiibo to do that. King K. Rool making it to the ledge. Donkey Kong actually decided to stay on the ledge, and that just got him hit by the propeller. King K. Rool using that spike we were talking about. It was on stage, so he tried to combo out of it. Trading a lot of big, meaty hits with Donkey Kong. Blunderbuss near the edge is going to take Donkey Kong's second stock. We're on a last stock situation. King K. Rool uses his belly armor, doesn't get killed by the up smash there. As a heavyweight like King K. Rool, you'd normally expect to live hits longer. However, when you're against such a hard-hitting character like Donkey Kong, it sort of just resets you back to normal. Sometimes even less so, depending on the move you're getting hit by. Playing around at the ledge, Donkey Kong grabs the ledge, gets the spike on King K. Rool. That means that Donkey Kong will be moving on. Alright, now we've got Duck Hunt against Kazuya. Gonna be a pretty tough match for Duck Hunt. Normally Kazuya does pretty well in the April Anger Tournament series. Duck Hunt is a character that has a lot of tricky projectiles, but the amiibo isn't exactly super great at using those. It's more like they, first of all, seem to have a tendency to forget they have projectiles. I can only assume that when programming the AI for the amiibos, they did not have them copiously spam projectiles to make them tolerable to go against. And depending on how they're programmed, it could actually be difficult if, for example, the amiibo is programmed to use an attack when the enemy gets in its range. Since the projectiles would have such a long range, they would always be defaulting to the projectile attacks. Now, Duck Hunt has actually done a pretty good job of remembering he has projectiles this match. However, he is an entire stock behind Kazuya. And Kazuya being a very heavy-hitting character, very high weight, and actually the AI for Kazuya has a little bit of an advantage over a human player, specifically because human players can miss input. And as far as I know, the Kazuya amiibo can't. Forward smash, oh, that's just enough to take Kazuya's stock right before he was going to get his rage. But I guess he's only a couple forward smashes away from taking Duck Hunt's second stock. Duck Hunt going for something fancy. The can wasn't going the right direction. Trying to get a spike from on stage. Ambitious, didn't work out. Kazuya goes off stage and actually gets sniped by Duck Hunt beforehand. Often, Kazuya gets a lot of kills by, well, quite honestly, recovering back to the stage and hitting the opponent with a hitbox. Was that a down air that killed? It was definitely an aerial, but usually Kazuya's killing aerial, if you can call it that, is his up special. The big wing flap, it actually has a hitbox on it. It's really strong, as it turns out. Kazuya's aerials are actually an interesting situation. They all have to be super fast so he can land them, specifically because he's the only character with a jump squat animation that's longer than 3 frames. In previous Smash games, it used to be a lot more spread out. And it was one of the... That was a great spike. Kazuya's not gonna... Duck Hunt going for the double dunk. And he gets it. So Kazuya just takes longer to get off the ground from all the other characters. Previous Smash games, other characters had similar jump squat durations, and that contributed to all of the heavyweights being too slow to actually get anything done. Going off stage, Duck Hunt makes it back, gets clipped by Kazuya's recovery. We were talking about that earlier. Rapid jab. Kazuya's... It's not tough guy, but it works like Bowser's tough guy, but to a lesser degree. So I guess I'd call it tough-ish guy. Down air is barely enough to kill Duck Hunt off the side. It looks like Kazuya would definitely have been able to make it back to the ledge on that one. Alright, our third match is going to be between Corrin and Ness. So, Ness is the audience favorite to win here. I know this because this is recorded after the brackets have been created. I always feel it's disingenuous to record videos before all the brackets are filled. It would always bring up questions of, well, insider trading, I guess, even though I don't think anyone's concerned about the monetary amount of these prizes. But still, even though I know it's not happening, someone else may not know it's not happening. So to absolve of any possible cheating... So anyways, in order to thwart any of those allegations, recording isn't done until after brackets are submitted. I mention this because every single bracket submitted this year has put Ness as the winner of this match. Oh, he just barely grabbed the ledge there. He almost died at 0. So it does mean that Corrin actually has a chance to do something hilarious, but she did just lose her first stock, only 14% on the board, and of course with the auto heal, that's not going to last forever. And Ness has been doing a great job of catching all of Corrin's landings. Corrin is an amiibo that we've had for a while. Forward smash getting the tipper, Ness is able to live that. Goes for the recovery. The Ness amiibo always seems to go for a recovery at that specific angle, which is interesting because it seems capable of doing other angles and just, it doesn't go for it whenever possible. It's actually pretty good against amiibo, specifically because it puts him far enough off the edge it makes him hard to edge guard. However, against humans it becomes incredibly predictable. And humans can predict and adapt to things and amiibos can't. Of course, Ness's character, in a nutshell, is that he has a very punishable recovery, but that's to make up for so many of his attacks just being so strong. Until Smash Ultimate, he had, in every other Smash Brothers game, the strongest kill throw in the game. Well, in the games. It wasn't until Incineroar came around, a wrestling character, that Ness was finally dethroned as having the best kill throw. And even then, second strongest kill throw, not a bad thing to have. Corrin finding a way to land with down air, not getting punished by Ness actually. Keeps landing with down air, actually gets punished that time. Back throw from across the stage, just enough to kill. Getting hit by a PK fire. Ness actually follows up with an up air. Normally you'd see a human opponent use multiple PK fires in a row. Or often I'll see one singular PK fire and then going in for a grab. The amiibo does struggle to... I'd call it mash out of PK fire, but you can kind of just hold a direction. Like, wiggle the control stick a little bit because of how SDI works. But it's... that footstool is not going to be the kill. Quite honestly, if you're ever stuck in PK fire, I recommend holding a direction and possibly pressing jump if your character's feet look like they're going to touch the ground. But the jumping part is optional. You can... If you have a really quick move, you can actually try to use it out of PK fire. Because since Ness will be approaching you, and even though he has psychic energy covering most of his attacks, he doesn't have that long of a range. You can quite often beat out whatever he's going for, especially if he's going for the grab. Ness chaining up airs together. air dodges through the down air, and then air dodges an additional time, gets him punished. Corrin's been going for a lot of taunts this game. That's actually one of the symptoms of being one of the older amiibo. Corrin has not been retrained before, which is normally when we try to disincentivize that behavior. It is difficult without completely rewriting the amiibo. I feel it wouldn't be as fun if whenever an amiibo lost, we replaced them with an identical duplicate. Corrin almost got hit by a PK Thunder launcher there. Up throw, not killing, but the up air is. Which means Ness is going to be moving on. Alright, now we've got Banjo Kazooie against Dr. Mario. Two characters with two-parter names. Now this is going to be a rough match for Banjo, because Dr. Mario always does really well, it seems. While I don't have specific analytics for an amiibo, well, on an amiibo by amiibo basis, I do have the records floating somewhere around I could look up if I needed to, but from what I recall off the top of my head, Dr. Mario almost always makes it into the April Anger tournament, and then he usually makes it to the final 4, or perhaps the final 8 before that. He never wins, which I guess is, of all the things to have to your name, getting so close but not winning in a tournament is it's only one step down from winning a tournament, so it's not even that bad. But I can imagine any Dr. Mario fans are probably frustrated by his ability to get very far, but never quite go the distance. Dr. he used his down special, he's actually able to recover from that. It's a little risky trying to use down special, the Dr. Tornado, for height, because if you're trying to get elevation, it just doesn't work. It's great for vertical distance, but horizontal distance, it really just can't. Banjo getting a conversion off the neutral air. And the grenade actually betrayed him, making him not able to land that forward air. Back throw at the ledge is going to kill Banjo. Banjo grabbing the grenade just in time for it to explode in his hands. Always hate to see it. Dr. Mario just standing there and taking it. I mean, I suppose he's a life ahead, so he can afford to take risks like that. Forward smash, almost killing Banjo. He got pretty close to the blast zone. Banjo using his first Wonder Wing. Banjo tends to only, at least our Banjo amiibo, tends to only use Wonder Wing as a recovery option, which isn't the worst way to use it. It's actually pretty good for getting that vertical distance. Horizontal distance. Oh no, have I been messing those words up the whole match? It's good for going sideways, that's what I'll say. And when you're trying to recover, it can save your life. You only get 5 of them, so you have to use them wisely. Dr. Mario going off stage. Banjo able to recover, even though he bounced off the bottom of the stage there. Very tricky predicament to be in, because it's very easy to accidentally just not recover properly and die at a very low percent. Banjo throwing a grenade behind him, grabs it with a down tilt. Too slow. It's actually rather difficult to spawn the grenade and catch it in time to actually throw it at the opponent. Especially since the grenade, well, it's shaped like an oval. So basically, if you've ever tried to like bounce a football, you know it can be incredibly erratic based off of how it actually lands. And I assume other similar projectiles, like a rugby ball, behave similarly. I have even less experience with those. Run back forward smash is going to end Banjo's tournament career. This year. We'll still get Banjo in future years. Alright, here we've got Pokemon Trainer against Corrin II. going to be on Battlefield for this one. Big Battlefield is not in the tournament viable stage rotations. I believe it actually is used in certain tournaments with more than 2 players in it, which would normally be a doubles match. I suppose you could do free-for-alls on it as well. It works out pretty well for those. They aren't super popular, but you will sometimes get, I suppose, maybe sometimes triples. I don't think I've ever seen that, but you'll get quadruples, which is just a team match, but there's 4 people on each team. It's not nearly as popular, mostly because, first of all, it's double the team size. So instead of one person picks up a friend and they drive to the tournament, you have to find 3 people. And that is significantly harder than just knowing a guy who said, yeah, I'll play. And you need to have 2 of those for every battle to go off. I don't know of any tournaments that have 2v2v2v2. That would be interesting, but when you have multiple teams in a fight, there's always issues with teaming or colluding. So I suppose that's probably why it's never been done. Well, that and running a tournament costs money. Especially these days, now that Nintendo's actually got involved in the tournament scene. That they have rules about what you can and cannot do at Nintendo tournaments. And if you try to ignore them, it turns out that, you know, there is legal precedent for them to say you have to follow their rules. Kind of feels like a double-edged sword ever since the Smash Brothers community wanted Nintendo to get involved. But mostly they wanted the funding, I'm pretty sure. They wanted Nintendo to be very hands-off. Now that Nintendo is involved, it's not currently an issue, I guess I'd say. But it does come up from time to time. And ooh, down throw to up special. Ivysaur falling right into that up smash. Switching to Charizard. Pretty good at this stock percentage. Pokemon Trainer's always been an interesting character in that sense, in that you have 3 characters you effectively get to choose from, so you need to choose the right one for each situation. And that is something that the Pokemon Trainer amiibo, and actually the Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard amiibos, all seem to struggle with. And I don't know how I could program that into an amiibo to gauge the pace of a match, to figure out which Pokemon you should be when. Getting the stun, but not getting the follow-up. Charizard's making it back. Switching to Squirtle and jumping right into a down air. Oh, but Squirtle's actually too short to not get hit by up-angled forward smash from Corrin there. Corrin being one of the characters who does have an angleable... I don't know if either of those terms is correct. A forward smash that can be angled. It's not super common, and when you do see it, oftentimes it mostly just affects, for example, if it's a punch, the angle that their fist is put at. And that killed a little quicker than I was expecting. Looks like Pokemon Trainer's out of the tournament. Alright, now we've got Lucina against Wario. Gonna be on Final Destination for this one. Lucina being a very fundamental based character, and Wario is just a very eclectic fat man. Not really too many other ways to explain it, I guess. He has great aerial acceleration and a lot of pretty good combos. Does Lucina have her double jump? She does! Able to make it back. Wario gets all of his tech so he doesn't die. He actually took a surprising amount of percentage from Lucina just trying to recover back to the stage. Tech rolls in, gets hit by forward tilt, and it's exactly enough to kill her. Presumably, exactly. So, Smash Bros. Ultimate doesn't exactly give you a refund if you give them extra knockback over the required amount. Well, ever since Wario took Lucina's stock, he's actually been suffering really heavily. Lucina isn't a character who really has combos, per se. Like, she has a couple. Every character has a couple of combos. But Lucina does not have many. A lot of the combos being percentage-based, which I guess every combo is, very percentage specific. Whereas many characters will have a move that combos most of the time, Lucina just doesn't. She just has moves that hit the opponent. Sometimes you can get a sour spot to maybe combo into something, but not particularly reliable. Especially now that I think about it, I don't think Lucina actually has sour spots on most, if not all, of her moves. Her kind of whole shtick being compared with Marth is that Marth's moves are stronger at the tip of his blade, and Lucina's are balanced throughout. In practice, it means that Lucina gets to play a little closer to opponents than Marth, because the sour spots matter less. Looks like Wario's Waft is online. Does he know how to use it? He reverses that recovery, and he does not grab the ledge. That is very unfortunate for Wario. He does get the Waft, but he doesn't get the kill, effectively just making it a very highly damaging move. A little bit of that is on Lucina. She was just holding Wario's motorcycle because she felt like it, I suppose. Getting Lucina off stage. And Wario fails to hit anything. Oh, he does get her with a back air. Auto heals back up to 0. We've got a one-stock game on our hands. Both of these characters keep missing each other with back airs, which is interesting. So Lucina's back air is so it's an aerial, of course, but she swings her sword upwards and it actually turns her around. So she can't use it multiple times in a row unless she's trying to hit people on alternating sides of her body. Well, Wario just got Lucina up to 100% really quick there. He doesn't have a waft, but he does have other moves that will kill. Usually edge guarding, back air is usually pretty good, forward tilt by ledge, forward throw shouldn't be killing. Lucina going surprisingly low and getting scooped by the up smash. That means that match goes to Wario. And for our last match, we're going to be having Ice Climbers against Sephiroth. We're going to be on Pokemon Stadium for this one. I think this is actually Pokemon Stadium 2, which is just a numerical delineator to not confuse it with previous Pokemon Stadium stages. Though I think there was only one Pokemon Stadium stage before Pokemon Stadium 2. Sephiroth air dodging into the Ice Climbers. He only got hit by one of the ice cubes there, but still not a situation he should probably be in. Ice Climbers. Nano with the clutch save, going off stage deep. I guess it was actually the second Ice Climber, which on this specific skin is actually Popo. But still, second Ice Climber going off stage for the clutch save. One of them gets shield broken. It's the dominant climber. Second Ice Climber doesn't know what to do. Does get hit. Surprisingly, the first Ice Climber seems to have come off unscathed. The first Ice Climber is the only Ice Climber that you get to see their percentage down at the bottom of the screen. The second Ice Climber you don't get to see, and they actually take slightly different knockback, I believe. So it can be incredibly difficult to judge how they're doing. Ice Climber's getting hit with the Skittles off stage. That actually might help with the recovery. Oh no, but holding onto the ledge, surviving all of the purple orb thingies. Dark magic? I'm sure there's some sort of name for them. Sephiroth has gotten one of the Ice Climbers down, but he seems to be struggling with the remaining Ice Climber. Gets him off stage, but yeah, his down air's not going to connect. He keeps trying to charge up his fireball, it appears, and then canceling it. And it's good for him that he is canceling it so he doesn't get punished. But also, due to how long the move takes to charge up stronger fireballs, you usually don't try to land with it. Up tilt, not quite enough to kill. That's not a killing back throw. Ice Climber landing just in time to shield that move again. Sephiroth charges a fireball, cancels it, and charges it a second time. An interesting play. He was able to get his first kill on the Ice Climbers. He gets hit by a decent combo, which I didn't think the Ice Climbers could do. It was possibly an accident. Sephiroth's already at 84%. So that is something to know about Ice Climbers. Once they get going, they can rack up damage fast. Very, I guess, a steamroll-y character. Actually, you know what? I should say they're a very snowball-y character. Because it's ice-themed. But also, once they get their wooden mallets on you, it's very difficult to do anything about it. Of course, if you end up killing one of the Ice Climbers early, even if it's not the one that ends the stock and makes the other one despawn, it still puts them at a sizable disadvantage for the rest of their life. Second Ice Climber seems to have not made it back to the stage. That is actually very significant. It does give Sephiroth a chance to catch up, since he is now facing a character who's weaker than they were 15 seconds ago. See, the combos don't connect nearly as well once you don't have a second Ice Climber to start swinging a hammer or freezing or stuff like that. So I guess Ice Climbers are very much the anti-comeback character. Some characters have comeback mechanics, and I guess Sephiroth's actually one of them with his one-winged angel form. Sephiroth making it back. His forward air hit the Ice Climber and not the stage. Goes for a forward air, barely misses. I think he missed without the air dodge even. Goes for a Scintilla edge guard. You don't normally see those. Landing, again, just in time to shield the up smash. Any percentage the Ice Climber can get before losing this stock is just less work they have to put in on the next one. Whereas Sephiroth desperately trying to find a way to get a kill. Back hit of up smash, not quite enough to kill. Sephiroth's actually one of the lightest characters in the game, as it turns out. You wouldn't think it because he's so tall. But I guess that's one of the balancing things they had to go through with to make having an enormous sword that hits as hard as it does not be incredibly overpowered. Both Ice Climbers making it back to the stage again. As long as they don't do some sort of critical blunder, I believe they have this game. It looks like a forward smash away from winning, but they do need to actually land the hit, and Sephiroth suddenly got really good at spacing them out with aerials. Up air? Oh, he tried to intercept the one Ice Climber, but the other Ice Climber was already there and was in position to hit him. Ice Climber not shielding that one. That's very critical. It did kill the secondary Ice Climber. Up air, not quite enough to kill. Sephiroth needs to land. And Ice Climbers once again not getting their shield out in time. That only happened twice that match, but each time one of them died for it. Which means that Sephiroth's going to be moving on. You'll see him next round. That's it for this episode. Be sure to stay tuned for other episodes as we go through the entire tournament. Until then, bye.